I want to clarify something for a moment. So, the engineering report is saying, this is what we got. Now, they're not spending our money. We're now complying by putting the money in our savings account. And the engineering firm is not getting our money. So, even if they were, let's say we were to go and retain another company to do another engineering report and spend $3,000 or $4,000, and they said, oh, you're 200 high. Yes, we're putting less money in our savings account, but this is going into your savings account. It's not getting spent, and it's not until we spend the money, that, i.e., a new roof, etc., that that the money is actually leaving. So we revisit it when we're actually spending the money, right? This report is by law. So, the difference here is that we can go and get another report if we think this company is, but it's really not gonna get us very far.
No, it will.
No, point taken, completely agree with you.
Mhm.
But, Kate makes a really good point, this is a company that we're going with,
That's
4 years
licensed
old.
by Florida, and
A lot of companies are licensed by Florida,
Big deal.
and a lot of companies are not reputable here in Florida. This is South Florida fraud.
I know they're a scam.
Yeah,
So
but
I think
again,
that
I know
as
they're a
a
scam. I know
community,
that.
if
we
we're,
need to make sure that we are taking second looks. Just like we would get a second doctor's opinion, we get a second opinion here on our building as it would be being checked out as, say, physician-wise, okay?
Yeah.
Just, Kate, you made some good points there, that are valid. I think that it's important to kind of look at this as sort of a two-pronged approach. We know we're gonna need a new roof at some point in the near future, based on the useful life of it. Back when we lived in New York, we had a 10-year roof on the building that we lived in. And the building that we lived in was underfunded on maintenance for 30 years. And that, when we moved in, it needed a roof inside of a year. It was a 10-year roof, the roof was 30 years old. Now, useful life of these roofs is usually well in excess of what they are rated to, if they are properly maintained. We ended up, as a building, at the time, deciding to put a 30-year roof on. And we have the company that we have worked with there that was going to regularly maintain and check the roof, which has gone forward and it's working well with that. Now, I don't know what the historical maintenance on the roof here is, but it seems like the board has done a very good job of putting reserves in place so that we can, enact on preventative maintenance going forward. But if we're talking about roofing costs, I look at our house here, the cost to replace our house's roof here has gone up 2x in 4 years. So there's no denying that building costs have gone up across the board, material costs have gone up, labor costs have gone up, and that's largely due to inflation that we've seen in the last 3 to 4 years, across not just materials but labor, but also predatory pricing. And I think if we're going to do any sort of capital improvements to the building, it behooves us to get not one bid, but maybe several bids, as you would if you're selling your house and you get realtors' opinions or whatnot, or you're valuing a property. And then second to that, when we're talking about shopping insurance, my ask about moving the capital reserves or the line of credit over, when I've shopped insurance before, it's usually a point in time snapshot, right? You don't need to usually maintain those reserves in perpetuity, because that would not be financially prudent of us to do that, because we'd have to pay interest on it then anyway. I wouldn't want us to incur that. But if we're shopping for a period of time, if you can do a point in time snapshot and then move those reserves back until it buys us time to make better decisions with what we're going to do forward, as opposed to pre-funding, because there seems to be some opposition to that from people in the room here. It might just give us more runway, is my point. And we can move them back, not incur the costs. But I do understand too, the way that the insurance companies here in Florida have been working is they're kind of, there's insurance companies that have been pulling out of the state. They've been taking a bath on what largely is because of reinsurance companies that were causing the problem. It's not the major insurance companies, it's the reinsurance companies. Mm-hmm. And what we're seeing now is the ones that are still in the state are putting undue burdens on the people that need to use their services. The fees are higher, the requirements are sort of a bit restrictive, if my opinion of that. But I think Kate's point is right, it might make sense if we have to spend a few $1,000s to get another engineer's opinion. That would make sense, as you would with a doctor's opinion, if you go to the first doctor and tells you need surgery, or do you really need surgery? I don't know, let's go get someone else's opinion, and maybe they come back with the same findings, that's fine, we've had two opinions. Or maybe it comes out as a little less, and it, again, gives us a little bit more runway.
Okay, so, and as an associate, we can go and get another report, and that's fine. Well, I wanna walk through the math with you. So we've gone to two contractors for the roof, right? So we've had two quotes for the roof, and it ranges around the $700,000 to do
The
the roof, right?
report says 400 to 700. That's the report.
That's his report. The contractors that quoted, we have two quotes that gave us a range, right? So we don't know how much this roof is going to cost, but it looks like the 700,000 is, and when the insurance company is asking for updates, so we gotta strap the roof and do some things. So we're talking about a total funding of 1.1 million, and we're pretty sure we're gonna have to spend $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 on a roof, right? So that number is, so the potential for the other number to move 50%, like, if we say, okay, 500 for the roof, we got another 500,000, the new report brings us down, what, 100,000, maybe, like, the math to me, there's no ROI on spending more money for a report, because that report is just really gives us this, right? Go ahead, please.
So, and hopefully this is relevant for anybody who doesn't know me. I'm Margot's tallest daughter. I'm the beneficiary of the trust that owns condos. Sorry, my voice is going out. I read the entire milestone report, and I'm also an attorney. So, the milestone report has the roof budgeted at $800,000. I think whether they're a reputable company or not, they're concerned with their issues, and so they don't wanna underestimate anything. So these numbers are going to be very high that are in the milestone report. They're asking for, millions of dollars every couple, I don't know, 6 years or something like that. And so I just also pulled up the Florida statute, just so that everybody knows the requirements of what the board has to, vote on, because they have to base their reserves on the report. However, I'm gonna quote from the statute, the members of a unit owner controlled association may determine by a majority vote of the total voting interests of the association to provide no reserves or less reserves than required by this subsection.
Yep.
And so, and as long as the budget is adopted before December 31st, 2024, after December 31st, 2024, they cannot determine to do that, for the items required in paragraph G, which is the ones that the, unit owners went over, or that the, study went over. So, not that they want to underfund the reserves, but when, for example, if you say the roof is going to cost $700,000, the milestone report gives it $800,000, so what's that $100,000, what's happening with that $100,000? And you said that they were gonna come out and supervise, are they going to be paid for that? Is part of that money going
Yes,
back to
we're
them?
working on them for an engagement to supervise.
Right,
the
so
contractors,
if
right?
certainly
Because-
if people.
Because your board doesn't know much about roofs, right?
Absolutely.
Like I know it keeps the rain out, and, I build buildings,
Right.
but I don't know so we need an
What
expert to
ordinances are.
watch.
And,
a contractor
and maybe,
who doesn't screw.
but I think that's the part of the concern is we need to hire that expert, don't let it be the person who budgeted it for you.
I know the expert,
Increase.
he's local.
Yeah.
And he takes bids on every local roofing, huge, project down here. So I have the info if you want it.
My husband is on the phone, and he's more of a roofing expert around here than anybody. He's on the roof
No,
all
he's
the time.
always on the roof, he shouldn't be up there, that's dangerous and it's a
Jim, are you
liability for
here?
us.
Could you speak to the roof that quickly and without, because there are a lot of people who wanna say something.
Right.
Can I speak?
Sure, can you hear me?
Yes, speak loudly,
How's that, okay?
louder.
Okay, let me just talk to the report for a second. This report,
can you speak to the issue of concrete, and, well, the way I read everything, I would put concrete repair ahead of the roof, so can you speak to that?
The report does that. The roof is not called for, the investment in the redoing the roof is not called for until 2029. The, concrete repair is called for sooner, I think, I recall 2026.
But the insurance companies dictate not the report.
Regarding the roof, is the information that UES was given. They were walking around with our manager at the time, Jane Lloyd. Jane Lloyd was a great manager, but she'd only been here for a couple of years. I mean, there's no indication in the report that they were given, any information about the last time the roof was worked on, and major roof done, which was after Hurricane Wilma in 2005. They had no background information. Also, obviously, they weren't given any information about their concrete work and the repainting that was done even more recently. So, I think this report needs to be revisited. We need to give them as much information as we absolutely can find, and have them take another look at their worst case scenario.
Jim, I'd like to address that, it's Candy. I was with Jane when we went through the building, and Jane provided all of the information on our concrete projects and on other projects. It was all part of the background work that we had to supply to them, so that they know and knew what had occurred here in the building. That was part of the background work that they came and got. And Jane came to me looking for some other information and things like that. So, yes, they have the history of all what we've gone through already.
But
No
doesn't,
indication about any background information that they were given specifically in their report.
it doesn't indicate it in the report. And so-
But they had it.
But
So-
the
so-
report
That was
makes
our
it look
due
like that's a
diligence.
very high priority over even the roof, and are we reading that incorrectly?
I thought you said that insurance companies.
Yeah, so here, so I'm saying that to what are the feedback we've had from the insurance company, you won't have insurance next year if you don't do your roof.
Yeah,
Plain and
and
simple.
that's, and
It's plain
so
and
we need a
simple.
roof.
Well,
Right,
you
prove
know,
Huh?
Prove it.
we.
Well, get me a renewal on our insurance, go for it, you know, they
We-
won't even talk to us right
Give me
now.
the written documentation from the insurance company saying that, it's part of the subpoena.
Yeah, that's
And,
fine.
and competing bids.
Okay.
Who else did you reach out?
So, that's another whole issue.
We're just
But-
having a lot of conversations here, like we control the insurance controls us, period.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Well, just,
Yeah, as a
just
board,
that,
we
you
can't
keep
go with
interrupting everybody, that kind of pisses me off. Because you should take the floor, when somebody has the floor, you shut the hell up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Who's
You
talking?
can't just keep.
Look who's
talking.
talking.
We only.
This
we
is-
only-
We're gonna
Yeah,
take
wait
the
a
floor
minute.
back,
Thank you.
please.
Jesus.
We get no notice,
So-
no notice, they don't post,
The one thing
You don't
I'm
even
gonna-
post it.
I'm
They don't
going to
even post it.
propose- I'm going to propose something,
Enough.
Sir,
is that we move forward with the operating budget and not the reserves. And that if the consensus of the room was we would like to engage another firm to do a second milestone report, if that's what people would feel more confident in this, then we can do that. I do the math and I don't see the value in that, but for everybody to be comfortable, if we wanna spend, how much did this report cost us?
may I have the, I haven't had the floor yet, may I have my 5 minutes?
No, we've already had five.
No.
Well, just, let me finish what I'm trying to offer is potentially a way to get through this roadblock. So that we have an operating budget that goes through next year and we revisit the reserves as a separate discussion after we do an additional milestone report.
I don't know that we can do that.
As long as it's before December 3rd, or you have to
Yeah,
sign before
we-
December 31st.
Yeah.
We have to
do it by
invoke-
December.
You have to vote,
That's the
but
problem.
it
It
can
can
be
be
lower
done.
than the amount that was requested in the report.
Okay.
I I'm happy to talk to.
Then we're gonna have to use a line of credit to do our roof. Go ahead.
Well, no, well, you might have.
Yeah.
My question was, what is your deadline and how much will a new report cost?
December 31st. This one we think was 6,000, I believe, either $5,000 or $6,000.
But we had bids that were up to 12 and 15, and we went with.
Quick math, about $100 per owner for another report.
I think you have folks.
It was $6,200.
52?
62.
62.
These are expensive reports, you can't just get them overnight.
But it's worth it if we're concerned.
I agree with all of that, but the problem here is that we won't have insurance, August is our deadline. That's
We
it,
need to vote on that thing.
August is deadline, August 25,
Like,
that's all
No,
the time we
it's a
have.
board vote.
But I think you can fund what you think you need to fund without basing it on, well.
We don't even need it.
Technically you have to base it on, but without looking at the number that they provided in the studies that has the, $1.1 million in 26.
If we're not going by it, why do we need to do an all-in?
Okay, guys, can we just hold on? Dave's been trying to ask a question for like 2 minutes now, go ahead.
Excuse me, I thought we were in the queue.
No, go ahead, you're fine. You can ask your question.
Go ahead and ask your question. I have a question. We've got, 2 emails. One email says that in the report that the roof is in a pretty good shape and maybe has to be replaced in 4 years. And the insurance company is telling us we have to replace it this year. And do we have anything in writing from the insurance company? And then do we check if the insurance company is gonna cancel our insurance and we go someplace else then? If they're right.
We tried.
We're all heavily insured. None of our insurance went up this year, to me, I did have to shop around. But
Yeah,
I think we need to do due diligence. We're basing all of our calculations on what some of us feel is a fairly fraudulent, company and an inaccurate. And we're buying into these quick fear tactics. This isn't good. We are being targeted by developers.
Yep.
We have received the calls. We know that. So for God's sake, let's be more vigilant.
Okay.
Thank
One
you.
of the things that I was thinking,
Yes, Edward, go ahead. Go ahead, Edward. I know you've been trying to speak. Go ahead.
So, I have a question, I've got 2 emails, one in the report says the roof is good for 4 more years, and then the insurance company is telling us to replace it in 2025. Have we checked with other insurance companies then, we don't replace the roof? Or we just agreeing with what they're telling us?
Actually, this past year, we didn't think we were even gonna get insurance.
Correct.
We, at the very end, we finally got insurance. So the market was that tight that
it almost went down.
we
to the
almost went
deadline.
without insurance. this year.
Edward, go ahead. Ask your question. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So, my question is, I think we should get another report. If it costs $6,000, $6,200, so be it. I think
But-
it's
Let's
prudent
Yeah.
for us not
But we don't need it.
get more information.
so it's a waste of money.
It is funny, I was fortunately just there, 2 weeks ago. As soon as I landed back in California, I received 3 phone calls about selling my unit. It was very strange. For a year and a half, I received no phone calls about selling my unit. But as soon as I landed back in California, 3 calls, 3 different people,
Okay.
Yeah, you're in on it.
So I think, I don't know why people who knew I was in Florida, I went in very quietly, I left very quietly, but I find that very odd, so, more information is always better. I vote that we should, we have $12,000 in reserve, why don't we use $6,000 and get another opinion from another company? I don't know Florida very well, I don't live there, I live in California. We have the same insurance issue here in California, we deal with public. But more information at a little bit of an expense, it's not a bad thing. And I think it's cool that we check.
Yes, okay.
At the end of the day,
We got the report.
So if we move to an assessment, I think we do have time. And we have an operating budget and we have an assessment for whatever the reserve ends up being a buildup for our new report. The board, we're open to names if anybody has another, report for Milestone that we could engage or ask them to do it. And
Problem
we
is
have
the
a,
timing, because.
we have a very, very tight
Right.
timeline.
We don't even need it, it's irrelevant. 718-112, 7A, it's irrelevant, we don't need it.
Well, they need to.
We have
they
one.
need to-
Okay, so how do we pay for a
We need
roof?
to have
How do we
your-
pay
No,
for a
we
roof?
don't,
It's just.
We have to fund reserves.
the report, we can vote on it, the board can vote on it, what's the 718-112, 7A, read that again, it's very
Well,
important.
No, the question is, how much do the reserves need to be funded? Do they need to be fully funded based on this report? And the answer is no. If,
Next year it does.
well, but
That's gonna change.
for
But-
today,
But I think a lot of people don't understand the fully funding either. It doesn't mean the money's always sitting in the bank, ready to go whenever it happens. It's that you determine how many years left of the life, and so that you have the money when you need to replace it. The problem is that with this report, we got the information, you need to do it now, within the next couple of years. And then, that's the engineering report. And then we got the insurance company saying, no, we won't write your insurance if you don't get a new roof this year.
but specially
And-
assessing for the roof and
Right,
reducing
and
this
so
reserve amount
if
would
we-
solve that.
if we would decide as a board to do a special assessment for the cost of the roof,
It's gonna be more money. It's gonna be more, you're gonna come out of pocket more, if we do a special assessment.
I go,
well,
everything he
but
says
if
go
we
opposite.
do the- If we do the special assessment.
Everything he says go opposite.
If we go to borrow the money and do the special assessment like we did the courtyard project, where it could be done over,
We should
3
always
years.
borrow.
That's what we
money.
could-
Let's
we could-
always use the bank's
The
money.
coupon book, $99 for the other two that did the roof. It's ridiculous. You're in on it.
Anytime we can use the bank's money, we should.
Jeff,
borrow.
let's don't get into personalities.
Personalities matter because you guys,
Accusations, listen to your accusations.
yo, you gonna stand up?
I'm sorry, you're not in good standing, would you please leave?
No, I'm in good standing.
Will you please leave?
I'm not leaving.
Okay. Anyway.
So first of all, there's no rule that says you have to pay quarterly in advance, and there's no late fees. So if I pay monthly, I'm not late.
This
I don't
is-
have to
this
pay
is a
quarterly in
special
advance.
world for you, Jeff.
No,
We're
yeah.
fine. So,
Redevelopment.
I would say, as a board, how do we feel about another report?
I think we need to vote on it, and see what everybody's.
No, we don't.
The board is voting, not you, Jeff.
Who wants to say something?
Ed, I just wanna say one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, do we know what that assessment fee is? If it was done on an assessment fee, do we know what that number is for each unit?
It would have to be what the cost of the roof is gonna be.
It's negligence. You
And we
didn't even
don't
look.
have
You
that.
didn't-
Shut up!
It's negligence. You're negligent. You should know the assessment fee. You should know it.
Be kind, please, everybody be kind.
You should know it.
Jeff, just.
I'm just saying.
Please.
Jeff, you've had your
Sit
5
there.
minutes, now, I don't wanna hear any more from you, okay?
Everybody
Let's
needs
be
to
civil,
kind.
let's be civil.
Let's be civil and give us notice. Let's not throw out furniture.
We're supposed
Let's.
to be neighbors.
Stop
here.
it, Jeff.
The floor is closed.
Just don't come an attitude with everybody in here. Now, here's my question. I think it's perfectly okay that we don't know what that assessment fee is. I think that's fine.
Why?
And it shouldn't be an issue, and it shouldn't get anyone angry and fighting.
Shouldn't we have at least like
Information.
some type of an estimate?
Walsh has the floor.
Let's give us a chance to get that number, and then we should all vote on how we wanna spend, how we wanna raise that money. I think it's a very simple thing. If we vote a rule and the insurance company in Florida says that we have to have a rule, and if we're stuck because of the way things are, I think that we should just have options as a group to be able to make a decision together. And the majority of the people who vote win. I think that's a very simple solution, and then we go from there. But I think we need those numbers.
Thanks, Ed, I appreciate that. I'm gonna ask everybody a favor today. You by Zoom and everyone in this room, what is the consensus? Do you think we need to get another report? Raise your hand if you think we do.
Another milestone report?
Another milestone report.
It doesn't really, it's not binding.
Well, then don't vote for it.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Peggy?
Hi. So, I just got in late, so
Yeah.
how much does the report cost? I think I heard somebody say $6,000.
62.
That's the
That's the
one
last
company
one.
we had.
Myself back in here.
The numbers will vary.
Yeah, the numbers will vary, but that was our last report.
As a board member, what I'm thinking is, if we approve this as this, proposed amount, and everybody pays the first quarterly, it gives us the time to do the research on, insurance companies and